Hey everyone, this is John from EastCoastArmory.com, and I'm here today with a model showcase video for this undefined scale, caricaturized T34-76 medium tank. Now the model in this video is built for my own personal collection and is not for sale and or purchase. However, like I often mention in these model showcase videos, I frequently take on commission build projects from models ranging between 1/35 scale and 1/6 scale. For availability and pricing information, that information would be best by contacting me through the email address listed below, which is info@EastCoastArmory.com. Now this model here is built mostly out of the box, but I went ahead and made some tweaks to the build here and there. We'll be going over these tweaks as well as reviewing the base starter kit in this video. So stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of cool content coming at you. Now let's go ahead and take a quick walk around this model. And this model here is the Russian T34-76, or at least that's what it appears to be at a glance. What it actually is a caricaturized rendition of the T34-76 from the video game World War Toons. Which means if you're watching this video, this is one of the EastCoastArmory.com's April Fool's Day build videos. Now, World War Toons is an online video game, and it takes place during a World War II time frame. But unlike many of the other World War II setting games, which at one point used to really focus on historical accuracy, not so much these days, but at one point they did, World War Toons went with a slightly different angle with it, where they went with this cartoony, stylized art style. Now, from what I was able to gather, the video game is a class-based system, and combined with the cartoonish aspect of it is similar to, I guess, something along the lines of Battlefield Heroes or Team Fortress 2. The game came out a number of years ago, and shortly after the game was released, a line of model kits from the game emerged. These model kits all represent vehicles from the game and also come in the same cartoonish, caricaturized art style format. Now, apparently the video game, from my understanding, is pretty popular because it seems like every year it passes on, there's a new release of model kits from this video game, representing new vehicles, I guess, that they developed. This T34 here, however, is one of the original kits that was released shortly after the game's launch. Now, before we go any further with the video, let's go ahead and take a step back to when the model was first started to get a good idea on what the base starter kit supplies you with. And here's the model at the start of the build. For the base starter kit, I'll be utilizing this Meng World War Toons T34-76 medium tank. Now, obviously, this kit here is one of the models that are attached to the World War Toons merchandise lineup, which is made by the Meng company. The models have a reputation of being very simple and very easy to assemble, but have some very interesting details and proportions to them. We'll see that once I crack the box open. Now, from my understanding, these models have been on the market for a little while now, and this model here is, I believe, one of the more earlier releases, and this kit here dates back to 2017. Now, this model here is fairly easy to come by, although it's one of the older kits that are found in the World War Toons lineup. I didn't exactly have a hard time tracing this model. This model here was purchased off of Amazon.com, and they sell anywhere from the high teens to the early 20s in dollar range, so tracking one down shouldn't be too difficult. Now let's start with the model's graphic design. Here we have the box art of the model. The T34 is rendered pretty good. And just like with all the other World War Toons lineup, they have this real funky and interesting type of caricature design. The quality of the illustration is also on par with the other kits that they make. What's unique about this box art is I kind of like the way the illustrator rendered it so you're looking upward and downward towards the rear of the vehicle, as opposed to most other box arts, which tend to have the vehicle coming at you in one way, shape, or form or another. From the box art takes us to the remainder of the graphic design. Here we have, of course, the World War Toons logo, the Meng model company name, and we have the box art, which is cut with these two vertical lines. This is true for all of the World War Toons lineup, and the reason is, well, so that when you have more than one of these kits lined up on a shelf in a store type setting, it does make for some pretty attractive marketing. This guy out of the way, he's going to be subject for another video. But here we have the typeface, just like what's typical on all of these World War Toons vehicles. Same type of fonts tend to be seen. Remainder of the graphic design is as follows. We have here a sample of the unit built and painted. Some more of the box art. And here we have just some paint suggestions from Meng, which I believe use MIG pigments for their coloring. Or no, it's AK, my mistake. Some more corporate information. And on the back here we have just some more advertisement for the video game itself. And of course it is Olga approved, like the other World War Toons lineup. Cracking open the box, we'll reveal the contents. Now, just like with all the World War Toons kit, they open up with this side type panel. And just like with all the other World War Toons kits, the T34 is no different, where all the kit contents are safely concealed within one sealed plastic bag. Let's go ahead and crack this guy open with a knife so I can dump out the kit contents. With all the parts out of the way, so we have the instructions and the markings. We'll go over that momentarily. So I guess that starts us off with the hull. Here we have the lower hull pan of the model. The plastic quality is what is typical on these Meng World War Toons kits, and they're pretty good. The plastic is nice and durable and strong. These do make for pretty robust little builds. And this looks to be the upper hull and the turret. Interesting the way they did the panel work on the T34. And there's the little engine grill. The turret is, of course, the 76mm version, or I guess it's alluding to be. And it's the version with the two smaller hatches on the top, as opposed to the one large hatch found on some other T34 turret castings. Moving down, takes us to this runner. This runner consists of some hull side fittings. It's kind of similar, I guess, in aspect to the Tamiya T34 kits, with the way the front and rear plates get mounted to the plastic tooling. We have all of the other amenities for the T34, like the fuel cans, the mantlet, and a lot of other little odds and ends and gizmos, which will undoubtedly be explained more in depth once everything is fully fitted on. Going down further takes us to the running gear. Now it looks like it's the same runner, just duplicated. Here we have the road wheels, the sprocket. Note the holes are solid on this unit here as opposed to being drilled out. And same could also be said to the front idler. Here we have the exhaust manifold. Note they are molded hollow, and drilling them out doesn't look to be necessary, or at this time it doesn't. We'll see as this build progresses. From the running gear takes us now to the track. Track is actually pretty interesting because it has some pretty good face detailing on it. If I get that guy into focus, there we go. You can see the waffle pattern on the track. And on the inside, it does have some basic detailing like you see here. The inside portion detailing on these tracks for the World War Toons set all have this type of format. There are also just a single piece of vinyl, and there's no gluing required like on some of the other vinyl tracks out there on the market. On these World War Toons tanks, it's just a little, I guess, like a little rubber bracelet type of assembly, which does simplify the model quite a bit. And on that note, you can clearly see from the part layout that this model is a very simplistic build indeed. Now, this is a hallmark on all these World War Toons kits. They all tend to be very minimalistic in the amount of runners that are supplied. I will say that some units do require a little bit more work compared to others to put together, but all of which are still far easier compared to more traditional, shall we say, model tank kits on the market. And if my previous World War Toons builds are any indication, this guy here should be a very simple and quick, not to mention a relaxing build to put together. With the runners out of the way, let's go ahead and look at the markings. Okay, here we have a Waterslide decal sheet. Here we have some basic red stars, as well as some other markings, of course, that will be alluded to as the build progresses. And I will say that the markings on these kits, as well as Meng kits in general, are very good quality for the medium, and these shouldn't give me any problems when it comes time for final assembly. Here we have the instruction sheet. Just like with all the other World War Toons instructions, they have the same type of format where everything has a little bit better marketing, I'd say, with the graphic design used. It's not just CAD drawings that are on white paper. We have this nice little black type backing, and here we have all the kit layout, like I just mentioned, and the CAD drawings are in the following format. They are very easily put together, like I said before, and the instructions are very, very novice friendly, I should say. They shouldn't give you any problems with putting one of these kits together. And here goes all the marking layout. Again, this is typical for all these World War Toons tanks. Starting with the model's running gear, all of the kit components were utilized on this build, but I did make some modifications to the sprocket, as well as the steel pattern wheel that we have here. Now, one really nice feature that this kit has is that it gives you two patterns of wheels for the vehicle. We have here the standard rubber rimmed version of the T34's wheel, and they also give you a steel wheel. Now, there's only enough to assemble one vehicle, so you don't have the option of having the vehicle all uniform with one pattern of wheel. But it is not uncommon to see real T34s in the field with a smattering of all the different wheel pattern types that were developed during the war. Now, with the way the kit rendered the wheels were also nicely done. They are definitely stylized from their original true to form version, but you do have some nice overall detailing found on these pieces. Now, when it comes to the steel wheel, you notice that there are these holes that we have here in between these spokes, and this is true to form again of the real vehicle. But on the model, if we can recall, the holes are actually just molded flat onto the surface, and you just have these small little indentations of where the holes are. Well, on the model here, I went ahead and drilled these out via a Dremel and a drill bit, and giving you the nice hollow look that you see here, which does improve the look of the model. Same was also done to the rear sprocket that we have over here. Only with this one, of course, the holes are slightly smaller, and again, the hole diameters are the same ones that are found on the plastic tooling. I just found a drill bit that had the holes of the same size and just drilled them out thoroughly. Now, by doing this in no way changes any of the structure and the mounting of the row wheels. They can still be mounted out of the box without any problems. And the pieces are just as strong as they were before. Now, when it comes to the actual mounting, the kit wants you to do it in this format that we have here, where you have the two rubber rim tires on either end with the steel wheel in the center. You can definitely do this, but again, on the real T34, it was a potluck on exactly where these wheels would go, so there is some creative licensing that can be had. And on this side here, the model, you can see that I went ahead and mixed it up a little bit by moving the location of the wheel. This is another way on your build to help break it out from the kit original, but you don't really have to do anything else outside of the packaging. From the suspension now takes us to the front detailing. Now, starting with this small tow hook that we have here on the front, this is definitely not something that you would find on a real T34, but again, for the subject matter at hand, it's perfectly suffice. From there, we got some track links. I believe these were integrally molded to the front plate, so when it comes time for painting and weathering, you want to be a little careful not to have any overspray or any leakage if you're applying the paint via a brush. Here we have the machine gun found on the front. You notice that it is functional, you can move it around, although it tends to flop down and it doesn't really stay up, but a little drop of white glue, I guess, couldn't hurt. Now, on the front portion here, you'll notice I drilled out the front section with a pin vise, again, just to give a little bit better detailing to the stock model. Here we have the front driver's hatch and the periscope and the blackout light. Note the blackout light does have its little slip painted in silver, which is something to watch out for. A lot of modelers out there, specifically more or less on the more novice end, tend to just paint the entire face with the silver paint as they would on a standard bulb. But keep in mind, it's only that little sliver over there that would be silver or would have the bulb behind it on the real unit. From there, it takes us to the rear. We have some nice exhaust manifold detailing, and they went ahead and gave you the exhaust covers that have the more unique shapes in them. On the T34, there were two patterns. You had this version here with this kind of insect type look to it, compared to the other pattern, which was just more simplistic in shape, and the designers went with the more unique version, so kudos on them. Here we have the rear engine hatch. There are some fastener details molded in. And then we have a tail light mounted right here on the rear. From the rear now brings us to the fuel cans. Now the fuel cans are, again, the stock originals and assembled very well, but there is a seam work that you are going to have to contend with, as these pieces are molded in halves. The seam work is pretty simple to remove, and once blended away, it does make for a nice detailed piece. You can see the rest of the side hull detailings, including these bent grab handles. Now, the way you see them all bent up on this model is as per the kit. This is not something that I went ahead and heated up and altered in any way. What you see is exactly stock with what the runners give you. Same could also be said with the other grab handles on the opposite side. On the back here, we have that iconic engine grille found on the T34, as well as on the sides, and the details molded in are adequate for the subject matter at hand. Now from there, this brings us to the turret. Now the turret is basically 100% stock with no mods really being made. Starting with the spare track that you see here, this piece here is not actually glued onto this model and is pretty much held on with just gravity. Just pops right off, and now the turret is unencumbered by any sort of clutter. Now note the detailing on the turret is nicely rendered for this type of application, and it does have the little bent caricaturized handlebars that we have here. Now with the way the turret is assembled, it is a two-piece assembly, and you will have a seam on these lower sections over here on either side of the turret. These were quickly blended away with the same type of procedure that I utilize on the gas cans. Once you're done, at least for a nice seamless appearance. From there, it takes us to the main gun. Notice the barrel can go up and down, which is quite customary, as obviously the turret can rotate 360 degrees. Now the barrel, it's a one-piece assembly, and no seam work is going to be necessary on this component over here. From there, this now brings us to the hatches, and just like on all the other World War Toons model, the hatches are fully functional. Now the hinge design is pretty good. It's a nice durable piece, and it does a good job with keeping the hatches onto the model. But as you can see, it also allows them to be fully functional. From there, this now brings us to the paint and the markings. Now for the model's paint, it's just your overall coat of the standard Russian olive drab. However, I went ahead and tried to have the steel wheels a slightly different shade of green compared to the rest of the vehicle in order just to give the model a little bit more pop. Unfortunately, by the time I was done with all the shading and the weathering, it all kind of blends together and it was negligible in the end. Hopefully though, if anyone can probably see that the steel wheels are a slightly different shade of green compared to the rest of the vehicle. It's one of those things that you'll probably notice now that I've pointed it out. From there, this now brings us to the markings, and all of the markings on this vehicle are the Waterslide decals that were supplied with the kit. And in a nutshell, they're basically awesome. There's nothing really much to talk about. All of the World War Toons vehicles, as well as just Meng kits in general, have phenomenal quality decals, and they went on without any problems really to mention. In the end, I'm really happy on how this build turned out. Just like with the other vehicles from the World War Toons lineup, this kit here was absolutely no different with both its ease as well as with its speed of construction. The model just came together, and like what I mentioned before, you can see that really I didn't do a whole lot of work to it in order to bring it up to the way you see it in this video. Which from there springboards us into skill level and recommendation. Now, obviously, this kit is recommended for anybody who is an avid fan of the World War Toons video game. If you like playing that video game, you're definitely going to dig not just this kit, but all the other kits in the lineup. They really don't disappoint if you're a fan of the video game. I also recommend this build for anybody who's a fan of just plastic military model kits. If you're the type of person that has a bunch of Tamiyas and Dragons in your collection, adding one or a few of these kits here doesn't hurt. It really spices up the collection and makes for an interesting conversation piece. These kits are also recommended for anybody who likes to work on caricaturized models. In the modeling market, there are a number of kits out there from various manufacturers that consist of these type of vehicles with these weird wonky proportions. This is true for jets, ships, cars, figures, and this kit here would fit into that type of a collection really well. These models here also make for a really nice gift. If you know anybody in your life that is into plastic models, or they're just a military history fan, they would really appreciate these kits here. And that basically leads us into skill level. Basically, anybody can put one of these kits together. These models are extremely user-friendly due to their simplicity and overall size and ruggedness, and again, can be built by just about any individual, from the super novice that's never touched a plastic model before, to the well-experienced individual that has an entire basement filled with plastic model kits. These models here can be enjoyed by any of those two, as well as anyone in between. Along those lines, if anyone is a youth or are getting into the world of plastic modeling, these kits here, again, are a fantastic choice for you. And with that, that wraps up this model showcase video for this undefined scale caricaturized Russian T34 76. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to this channel, where it's a great way to keep up to date on new posted content, be it model showcase videos like this guy here, or the larger scale project update videos that frequently get posted on this channel. Another way to keep in the loop of new posted content is by liking us on Facebook. There, I have more photographs of this particular build, as well as the other smaller and larger scale builds that have been showcased on this channel in the past. Furthermore, don't forget to swing by eastcoastarmory.com for more 1/6 and 1/16 scale builds and detailed components. Thanks for watching.